Hello and welcome to Hug in the Snug. Today I'm joined by Paul Dickinson, the founder,
co-founder and chair of
the Carbon Disclosure Project. It's a bit hot in here today, which is why I can't seem to get my words out, and I'd like to apologise in advance, but it's called Hug in the Snug for a reason, so do you think we could brave one? Okay. Hug done. Today we're going to talk about, I think, a very good question, because quite often the simple questions are the most deceptively difficult. We are an agency that specialises in the sustainability sector. You obviously work in the sustainability sector too. What is sustainability?
Well, there's the Brundtland definition, which is a kind of alphabet soup thing, saying, you know, these are the future and the present of something, something, something. And I've reflected upon this and come to the conclusion that it is better to define sustainability as a major problem that the government can't really solve. And the classic example of this is things like the health service, crime, the NHS. You know, if aliens attacked in flying saucers, we would never say these are problems of sustainability. That's when you phone up the Air Force and fight the flying saucers, whatever. But when you think that the government can't help at all, really, when you look straight through the problem and say, well, we have the technology but we don't use it, we've got in the habit of calling it sustainability. But I would argue that sustainability is a temporary name, and what's really happening is that the role of business in politics is being more clearly understood. And what's actually happening is that the nation state is starting to recognise that it is in a kind of partnership with the global business system, and the global business system is currently, in some regards, stopping governments from actually passing laws, in my area, to tax or regulate greenhouse gas emissions. And sustainability really is about, I think, business and government collaborating with the citizen to deal with the problem of climate change.
Okay, well that's thrown me a bit. It's not an expected answer. I mean, I think normally if you ask someone what sustainability is, they talk about resources. As you say, the definition of future generations being able to enjoy the same resources we do. And I think a lot of people talk a lot about behaviour change and managing change. So what you're suggesting that actually this is how we can tackle sustainability is more important than defining sustainability. Is that right? Because it sounds like, to me, what you're saying is if we could get into the same mentality as how we might tackle, for example, global health problems, we might be in a better position to tackle the issues of sustainability. And that it's really about unlocking that relationship between business and government so that we can move forward.
Yeah, I think unlocking the relationship between business and government, for me, feels like the key. I mean, once again, on climate change, you know, the real problem we have is emissions of greenhouse gas emissions, which is a valueless pollutant. No one's got any use for it. So people are just going to carry on emitting it unless somebody stops them. Now, I mean, it's not a brilliant analogy, but with something like cigarettes, you know, people were discouraging people from buying cigarettes, but in the end, the government banned advertising and, you know, stopped people having cigarettes sort of pushed at them. Governments are going to have to tax or regulate greenhouse gas emissions, but I want us all to appreciate governments have found that extremely difficult. And I'm going to quote one of the world's most famous investors, who writes brilliantly on this subject, Jeremy Grantham of GMO. Do look at his newsletter, because it's some of the best environmental journalism you'll find in the world. But in his a recent note, he said that business had died and gone to heaven on the area of corporate lobbying, and now exerted a dangerous degree of control over the Congress. Now, if business is stopping governments of the world from taxing or regulating greenhouse gas emissions, that problem is the crux of sustainability, I would argue.
So we talked about unlocking the relationship between business and government. Who do you think will give first? Because I'm interested to know if it comes from, if the movement comes from business, what will it take, or what will be the driver for businesses to say, actually, we have to stop doing the things the way we're doing them, and we have to change, or we have to be prepared to, you know, pay an awful lot more in taxes for the impact that we are having. I mean, do you see what I mean? It seems a bit of a chicken and egg situation. If businesses are putting the pressure on government, so government can't make those legislative changes,
So I can answer that.
Yes,
it's only certain businesses that are opposing these actions. So certain parts of the energy industry, the fossil fuel industry, have lobbied absolutely irresponsibly against taxation and regulation of greenhouse gas emissions. A lot of industry sectors have done that actually, and they're going to have to desist from that because it's extremely dangerous. But actually, when the public support government in introducing taxation and regulation of greenhouse gas emissions, when we move the burden of our taxation from value extraction in terms of raw materials out of the ground and CO2 into the atmosphere, and we take tax off labour, what's actually going to happen is we're going to have much more repair, reuse and recycling of materials. That's going to increase employment and that's going to boost the economy. And I think it's actually something that business and government can unite around. There's absolutely nothing wrong with insulating our houses and improving energy efficiency all over the place. It will reduce our reliance on foreign sources of energy. It will increase paid employment in our country, boost our economy, give us leadership in the new green technologies. What's to not like? It's a panacea, and the sooner we get round to it, the better.
So actually, unlocking is a good word.
Yes, absolutely. We have to change. That's what the scientists tell us. We're going to have to change the way we produce and use energy. So we're going to have to use some of the ingenuity that has made our great societies great for hundreds of years and carry on being as good as we can be, which is better than we are being at the moment.
Okay, so if I come back to my original question and see if I've got this right from what you said. I asked, what is sustainability? We've talked about on a global scale, unlocking the relationship between business and government, and fundamentally, I suppose, putting a price on the impact that we're having in terms of emissions. Would that be an accurate summation of your definition of sustainability?
Yeah, one more component I want to throw in. We talked about government informing the public about the problems of climate change, for example. The greatest democracy in the world is actually not when you go off to your booth every 5 years and put a tick in a box. The greatest democracy in the world is how you spend your money every day and how you invest your money every day. So look out for the final piece of the jigsaw, which is the citizen as consumer, the citizen as investor. And when she and he unite and start to direct their money towards those companies that provide the solutions, then you'll have the perfect alignment of the citizens, the global business system and government, and we can move ahead to make the significant changes we need to make quickly and at the necessary scale to avoid dangerous climate change, which we must succeed in avoiding.
Okay, so money makes the world go round, but it might just save it too.
I hope and believe it will, if we use this bit of our body.
Well, hopefully we've all given you an opportunity to use a bit of this bit of your body. Thank you very much for joining me in this hot snug today, and join us next time.